Continuing our review of the various types of looping structures available in ActionScript 3.0 from the previous movie, we now get to the while loop. The while loop is similar to the if statement that we've already seen, but this one repeats as long as a condition is true. Here's a script for creating the same toroid we did before, but this time using a while loop instead of a for loop. Here I'm setting up an integer variable, initializing it to 0. While I is less than 361, go ahead and create your shape. There's your rotation value. Notice that the bottom line is different. I plus equals 10. So in other words, each time you loop through, add 10 to I. Continue looping until I is less than 361. So we're going to be creating the same toroid that we did before, with 36 ovals rotated around 360 degrees to create that shape. And like I did before, I can modify various properties here. Let's go ahead and loop only one time to create one oval. Or let's do 200 to create a partial toroid. Like so. It looks like a slinky, that one. Now, one big disadvantage, especially as a beginner, of using while loops is it's very easy to create infinite loops with one of these. It's harder to create them with for loop structures. And what happens with an infinite loop is you get a crash, a computer crash. Your flash file will just sit there and be unresponsive. You don't want that. And the reason for this is that the for loop example code will not compile if you omit the expression that increments the counter variable. But this while loop example does compile if you omit this step, this one right there that's incrementing that I value. And without this expression, the loop becomes an infinite loop. This is the do while loop. These loops are a little bit interesting and unique because they guarantee that the code block will be executed at least once. The reason for this is that the condition is checked, notice, after the code block is already executed. So here is my execution. There is my iteration check right there. Do this while I is less than 5. This again guarantees that you'll get some output even if the condition here is not met. In this case, obviously the output is going to be simply 5. Because notice I'm setting up my integer equal to 5, and I'm checking to repeat this as long as that integer is less than 5. So even though I don't meet the requirements, I'm still going to get some output with this loop structure. So there you have a survey review and some examples of some of the more important looping structures in scripting. We now get to a very important scripting element, arrays. I've left this one out until late here because this is a very important scripting component, but the use of arrays is a bit more abstract than other topics that I've covered here. It also helps if you have a solid understanding and experience with variables before tackling arrays. So let's now move on to the next movie so I can introduce you to arrays in ActionScript 3.0.